Welcome back to my channel. Today I have the highly anticipated Pink Woods by Ariana Grande, her newest fragrance release that is exclusive to North America. I am so excited to finally have this fragrance in my hands, and I've actually had it for almost a week now and I've been wearing it extensively every day, so I think I can give a pretty in-depth rundown about my thoughts on this fragrance. We have a lot to talk about, so let's just get straight into the video. Before we start, if you haven't yet subscribed, please make sure to do so, and as always, if you're returning, thank you so much for being here. But let's talk about Pink Woods. We'll start with the notes. In the top, we have bergamot and lotus. In the middle, we have tea, vetiver, and jasmine. And in the base, we have cashmere wood, cotton candy, and tonka bean. So when I first sprayed this fragrance, it immediately reminded me of something that I had smelled before and something that I actually really liked, but I could not quite put my finger on what it was. At first I was like, is it This Is Her by Zadig and Voltaire? I kept smelling it and I was like, oh my god, like it really smells like something I've smelled before. And it finally came to me, the fragrance that this reminds me of so much. And this is not in the this perfume reminds me of section on Fragrantica, so this might just be like a me thing, but the opening of Pink Woods smells so much to me like Versace's Dylan Purple Pour Femme. And so I'm gonna be spraying them side to side and doing a comparison because this is like, I feel like the best that I can do in describing how it smells like. As of now, at the time that I'm filming this, I don't believe Pink Woods has hit stores yet, so I do want to give like the best possible rundown of how this fragrance smells. This is exactly the kind of perfume that like you spray and you're just like, like it smells so good. Like this smells so good. There's nothing about this that I feel like is unlikable or super out of line. Like this is exactly what a clean, pretty fragrance smells like. It smells so good. And then I'm also gonna go in with the Dylan Purple Pour Femme. I guess I want to preface by saying that these two fragrances are in no way like identical or like dupes of one another. It's just that opening that like really reminded me of Pour Femme. So if you smelled Versace Dylan Purple before, you know it has this very fruity and clean musky opening. It just smells so clean, and the pear note I think really gives it this sweet richness that's also just so incredibly fresh, almost has kind of a watery essence to it. And it's that fresh, sweet muskiness in the opening that like really reminds me of Pour Femme. What I will say is that the first like 30 minutes that you have the fragrance on is like when it really smells similar, but as it begins to dry down, the two are not so similar anymore. Okay, yeah, again, it has this similar really fresh and sweet opening, but I feel like Pink Woods definitely leans a little bit more green, almost aromatic, but I personally do not like aromatic fragrances, so I don't want to make it sound like it's a super like herbal or botanical smelling fragrance, because it's not. It's very floral in a fresh way. I'm getting a prominent lotus note, which is in the top. The lotus gives it this almost kind of waxy floral kind of feel. Waxy, not like a candle, but just like the texture of the petals, if that makes sense. It's a very smooth, almost kind of round smelling fragrance. As the fragrance begins to dry down, it definitely becomes more woody and also pretty green. I would say the vetiver and tea notes are really coming out. So the main accords on Fragrantica are woody, sweet, aromatic, amber, citrus, green, floral, musky, white floral, and caramel. I don't know if I entirely agree with these main accords. I would say for the most part, like yeah. And also this main accord breakdown also aligns very closely with the one that Pour Femme has. So I really think that these fragrances are similar, even though no one's really talking about them. You'll notice that both have citrus pretty high up on the main accords kind of list, and I think it's that bergamot note. But when I think like citrus, I think of like a lemon, a grapefruit, like an orange, like something with like a bitterness to it, like something tart and juicy. And while it is very juicy and both fragrances have a very heavily sweet, fruity, musky aspect to it, it's not bitter in the way that a citrus rind or peel would have. It's a very sweet, juicy, and fresh bergamot. The bergamot doesn't have any sort of like a tartness to it. It's just very sweet almost kind of decadent. As it dries down, many people have compared this to Rem, another fragrance in Ariana Grande's line. And personally, I don't really think it smells like Rem. I see where they're getting that comparison because it does dry down kind of woody and aromatic, and the cotton candy in the base definitely gives it a sweetness that could be reminiscent to like the caramel and the zephyr that's in Rem. This fragrance is just a lot more woody and floral, whereas the floral aspects in Rem definitely come from the lavender. There's no lavender in here. It smells very grown up, sophisticated, and put together. I think that this is definitely an evolution and like a new direction for the Ariana Grande fragrances in terms of packaging, presentation, smell. Everything about this is just, it's definitely different from what she's done before. So if in the past you have had an issue with Ariana Grande's fragrances, if they smell a little bit too juvenile, girly, or flirty to you, I would definitely give her new line, or at the very least Pink Woods, a try, because it just smells so refined. It smells really, really well blended and put together. Another aspect that I think is important to touch on is the pricing of this fragrance. So as of now, Pink Woods is technically the most expensive perfume that Ariana Grande has ever released. But on the other end of that, if we look at it by a proportional, like by fluid ounce pricing, it's actually the most inexpensive fragrance that she's ever released, but it's primarily sold in this giant bottle. This is 4.25 fluid ounces, which is a lot of perfume. It's a very, very big bottle. It retails for $80, which is the most expensive like of a perfume that she's sold before, but it's also the biggest size, and so technically it's also like the best value in terms of the amount of fragrance that you're getting. I think that this would easily last you 1 to 2 years, even if this was like the only fragrance that you're wearing. And so with that, we're gonna go ahead and get into the rating portion. So starting off with presentation, here is the box for Pink Woods. It's extremely minimalistic, but very beautiful, and just in this beautiful pastel pink color. I really like the kind of like indentations on the box. It feels very classy. It feels nice. As for the bottle, it's also really simple. The sticker here it's not just like a cheap generic paper sticker. Like it feels like some kind of like textured cardstock, and it's very thick. The bottle has a lot of weight to it, partially because the glass is very thick and it feels high quality, but also because there is just so much fluid in this perfume. It has the Ariana Grande engraved in the top. One thing I will say is that I think they changed the atomizer from her other fragrances. I know that I absolutely love the atomizers for Cloud Intense and Cloud Pink, the big bottles. They have such a beautiful sprayer. Same with Mod Blush and Mod Vanilla. Literally some of like the best atomizers I've ever used. This one is like flatter, and I feel like you have like less control over how much you can spray, so I wish they had used like the old atomizer, but like that's a super minor thing. Overall presentation is beautiful and super elegant. As for this scent, this is a very pretty scent. Like I truly could not imagine anyone who would smell this and be like, ooh, like I hate this, or like, ooh, something about it smells off to me. It's like the opposite of that. Like it smells so clean. I don't think it smells like extremely basic, but it's just so put together. There's like not one specific note that I would really pinpoint and be like, oh, it smells exactly like this specific note, because all of them are blended together so effortlessly and smoothly. I really think it's so well made, and it just smells great. I think that this is a perfect fragrance for really year-round, because it has a freshness that is appropriate for hotter months in spring and summer. It's also very sweet and has kind of a warmth from the cashmere woods in the base that also make me want to like wear it during colder months. It feels so versatile, and Ariana Grande has even come out and said that Pink Woods is her personal favorite fragrance out of the Love Notes collection. I feel like that means a lot coming from her. Now, when I made my previous video outlining all of the new fragrances that were going to be included in the Love Notes line, I was really hoping that this one, seeing that cotton candy note in the base, I was really hoping that this fragrance would have a strong cotton candy smell to it. I can't say I'm really getting that. I would say it definitely opens opens with a sweetness, but I don't know if I would attribute the sweetness to the cotton candy. I feel like it comes more from the tea, bergamot, and lotus flower. I do feel like there is something sugary about the fragrance, but I don't think I would smell this fragrance and be like, oh, it smells like cotton candy, because it's very, very subtle. So I guess in some ways I do wish that the fragrance was even sweeter and even more gourmand with a more pronounced cotton candy note, but I feel like that would also kind of interrupt with this just really beautiful and clean floral, woody, musky scent that it already has going on. Overall, I think it smells incredible. Very, very crowd pleasing. I don't know if I would say I like the scent itself more than something like Mod Vanilla or Cloud, but I would say without a doubt, it is definitely up there in terms of scent. I think it smells so good. It's very feminine, but not in like a super girly, I guess like hyper feminine way. It's more just, again, it's more grown. It's put together. It smells clean and fresh and luxurious. And this is definitely something that I see myself wearing for many, many years to come. Even just like the week that I've owned it, I've been putting it on night and day, not even because like I knew I was going to be testing the fragrance and I was going to make a video on it, but just because I did genuinely really enjoy the scent, and I think that this is definitely one that's worth checking out. Finally, as for performance, I would say longevity is actually very solid. I get 6 to 7 hours out of this fragrance pretty consistently. On the skin, I definitely get somewhere in the 6-hour range, and I can still get a trace of this kind of soft and smooth woodiness on my skin, even towards the end of its wear. Sillage, however, I think is definitely on the lower side. So if you do want to like fill up a room and really get noticed when you're wearing this fragrance, I think you might have to overspray it a little just because it doesn't project a ton. But for me personally, that's like not an issue because I don't really like fragrances with super high sillage. They just give me a headache and I have a very sensitive nose. So I personally don't have a problem with it. I think overall, the performance is just so beautiful and it works really well for me because it lasts throughout the day, but it also isn't like obnoxiously loud. For my final thoughts on Pink Woods by Ariana Grande, I think it's beautiful. I'm so happy with how the fragrance smells. I was actually a little bit scared for it because when I saw a ton of those like green notes, I thought it might lean like too herbal or aromatic. And then given that it was like a sweet pink and woody fragrance, I thought that it might smell something like Valentino's Born in Roma, which is just way too sharp for me. But this one, it's such a comforting scent. I think that it's so well put together. So that just about wraps up today's review. I do want to get this video out as soon as possible as I can for you guys because I know there's not been a whole lot online yet because again, this at the time that I'm filming this, it's not in stores yet. So yeah, if you do have your chance to get your nose on this, please let me know your thoughts on the fragrance. I would say overall, this is easily like a grade A fragrance. I think it's so stunning, and even though I will always have like some sort of bias in favor of Ariana Grande just because I love her so much and I love her line and her fragrances, it's still beautiful. Like I feel like this is kind of what I wanted Cosmic by Kylie Jenner to smell like. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Take care and I will see you very soon.